I'm thrilled to have this guy on. I just love what he's been doing in his career, playing and now talking about the ball. He is Chris Long, two-time Super Bowl champion, back here on the show. How are you, Chris?
Good, man. You got Craig Robinson coming on.
I do.
Dude, that's awesome. One time, Craig Robinson stood next to me at Bonnaroo.
Okay. I'll bite. What happened?
I didn't say anything to him.
Why?
I was, he had an aura. I didn't want to bother him.
Huh. So
he was watching a show. I don't remember which show, but he was really enjoying himself.
Okay, but you don't go up to somebody and just anytime I see somebody whose work I greatly admire or I'm a fan of, as long as they're not eating or peeing, I will say something to this individual. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, I've done it before,
right.
And there's certainly nuances to when and where you do and don't. But I look at it as a victory if I walk away and don't say anything to somebody I really like.
Okay, all right. So what's your favorite Office episode, Chris, if I'd ask?
Man, I knew you were going to ask me that, and I'm not going to do any absolutes with the show with a following that cultish. So I'm totally taking the fifth on this.
You are
but
too
I love
smart.
me some Daryl, bro.
Okay.
I mean, he's unbelievable.
Well, I mean, as I was talking about the pickup basketball scene is one of the greatest scenes of all time. You know,
dude, the warehouse guys were my favorite.
It is too good. And, I was actually using Office memes to describe my mood watching the Jets win a football game this past weekend, I don't even know how to handle that. And I feel bad, Chris, because I know these are grown-ass men who want to win football games. And I know Sam Darnold is a wonderful human with a ton of talent that has not been served. And I feel terrible rooting like this. I wonder what do the players think? Do you think?
I think every player. We talk about this with Greg Williams, right? Like people were like, "Oh," and Greg Williams is my guy. He was a coach I really enjoyed playing for, but he made a call that was questionable, and they fired him over it. And people said he was tanking. I'm like, what does a guy who's likely going to be gone with the whole group in a month have to serve? The Jets' future plans. Like, it just makes no sense. And it's even more the same thing with players. It makes no sense. So I'm really happy for those players. But for you guys, Jets fans,
yes,
if Trevor Lawrence is everything he says he's going to be, can you imagine just the way you guys beat that team? You iced the game with a 37-year-old running back who's one of the GOATs with two sets of downs, not one set of downs you had to get. Two of them. The Rams had two chances to stop. You get the ball back. Your punter made a game-saving tackle on a return. Game-saving. Higbee blocking the back. Akers touchdown call back. There were so many things that happened in that game. I mean, can you imagine if Sunshine wins a Super Bowl in Jacksonville? That punter is the reason you guys didn't in New York. I'm not trying to go here, Rich, but just playing this thing out. Here's your saving grace. The Jags are going to win this weekend.
Yeah, attaboy. All right. And I'll be honest with you. This is one of the reasons why I reached out to you. Okay? I'll be honest with you, Chris. I do love having you on, and, I'll have you anytime.
Yeah.
But I knew this was your take because, I was tweeting at Big Cat, at our friend Daniel, who I like to refer to him. I'm probably be the only person in our business who does that.
Oh, Dan.
Where he says, do Jets fans still want to draft a QB at 2? I feel like I'd rather keep building the line and roll the dice with Darnold and good protection. I wrote back, I'm not underestimating your Bears and Trubisky's flair for the dramatic in Week 16 versus Jacksonville, Daniel. And then I just that say. I hit send, and I felt proud of myself. I felt good about myself. It is therapeutic. I'm definitely a shell of a man who's definitely very vulnerable right now.
As you should be.
Thank you. And then you respond. You come in over the top. The Jags, you retweet that. The Jags will deliver sunshine to the Meadowlands this weekend. Book it.
It just makes too much sense. First of all, I think that's a competitive football game. And when they made the switch to Minshew here recently, I was like, this is proof that they're not tanking because this guy's, serviceable at the very least and lightning in a bottle. And just Chicago, the way they are, I mean, they've really gotten their fan base's hopes up over the past couple weeks, albeit for nothing probably. But like it would just be so 2020 for Jacksonville to shoot themselves in the foot proverbially and get this win. And Minshew is the one who delivers it. But the craziest thing is you guys picked a weird weekend because Fields looked really human against Northwestern. And now it's like double trouble for you guys. I would love if you guys stay in 2.
Okay. For
you guys to give Sam a shot with competent play calling, like an Eric Bieniemy and Sam Darnold. I call me a sucker. I kind of believe in it.
Well, I mean, and that's the thing that I was so torn about, because Darnold is a face of a franchise you want to have, certainly in New York. And if, let's just put, I'm not ready to go here, but I'll do it anyways. I'm just honestly, I'm still hanging my hopes on Minshew Mania bursting out. But in all seriousness, that Darnold looked really good this weekend. I mean, he was making some throws.
Oh, he looked great.
And if he does survive all of this in New York and does actually start to win games and put the Jets in the playoffs, he could be the perfect guy for New York, that he would shrug off all of this, right?
I think he's got I do want to give him credit, because I think we do this with rookie quarterbacks, and the leashes are getting shorter in the era of, like, the Kyler Murrays of the world, where you can just, burn your draft capital that you spent, because with the new CBA and the way things are set up, you can, first-round top 5 quarterbacks are more disposable, and people have started to win that way, right?
Yes.
Sam Darnold has done a really good job of staying cool through all this, and I don't think that's for nothing. I also think even football fans who are so temperamental realize how bad the situation's been. We do this thing where a Jets player goes somewhere else, or a player that spent some time on a dysfunctional team goes somewhere else and they thrive, and we say, that was Adam Gase's fault. But we don't want to give Sam Darnold the same benefit of the doubt sometime. And I really do believe that whatever you're seeing now, he's got better in him. You see those, like, his best plays. That should be the idea. Let's get those out of him, on a regular basis. And how do we do that? We bring somebody in to call the plays. And there's no better GM to have that number 2 pick to play with than Joe Douglas.
Yeah,
I mean,
talk to me.
Guy.
Talk to me about him, Chris, because, look, I want somebody like you if I got to choose somebody second overall here.
I don't know. I would have taken me about 15. But in the draft it wasn't the worst thing in the world.
What I mean, Chris, is
I would have took Calais Campbell. Me and Cliff Averill, we weren't bad either.
That's that famed long family humility. But look, here.
No, ain't no humility there. But I think Joe Douglas. I think he's not a guy who's going to be afraid of, what if I make this move? Is this a splashy enough move? Is this, Joe Douglas is a lineman, man. He's down to earth GM. He's a football player. If I had a tournament of Mortal Kombat with all the GMs in the league, he's coming out, no question. And I think his first pick has gone really well. I love watching Mekhi Becton play. And when you talk to Joe before that draft, he knew, I think, right away, what kind of guy he wanted to infuse in that Jets culture. And I think he's going to make the right decision. He didn't get enough credit for some of the great decisions he made as a team with Howie. So, and if you're a Philly fan, you're listening, I mean, Dorsey's come in and been a consultant, so I think Howie's going to work well as a team there too, flip side of that coin. But Joe Douglas is a great GM, and there's nobody I would be he's just not going to let the pressure affect him in making that decision.
But why then? Let me ask you this then, Chris Long here on the Rich Eisen Show. Why hasn't Gase been let go? I mean, what point is it to keep somebody around 0-13, 1-13 now? I mean, you know what I mean? Like, it's so obvious that this is over. And in the meantime, if you are trying to get Sam Darnold the proper weaponry around him, or the best possibility to win around him, how do you trade Jamal Adams at the outset of a season and not when there's a draft to actually pick more players prior to this season, which leads to an 0-13? How is Le'Veon Bell just allowed to walk out and stroll to a Super Bowl team? I mean, I want to believe, because again, Daniel Jeremiah is somebody who I love as well, and knows Joe, and it says the same things to me about this general manager. But I am.
Well, do you think Le'Veon Bell or Jamal Adams are the difference in you guys making the playoffs this year?
No, they are not. But what I'm saying is that if Jamal Adams is going to go, has to go, why are we doing it right at the before season? Like, what does that do for Sam Darnold now?
I think you'd also need to ask, the player side of that. I mean, if a guy doesn't want to be there, he doesn't want to be there. And I love Jamal Adams' game. I mean, this guy, he's making defensive linemen jealous. He's about to have double digits.
Right.
As a DB. I mean, it's incredible. The guy is awesome. But if the guy doesn't want to be somewhere, it's like we turn around and we get mad at the GM. The oldest adage in sports is like, if you don't want to be here, leave. That's such a cliche, right? But then when a coach or a GM does it, and it wasn't like it was some huge contentious thing between, I don't think, Joe and Jamal, but I mean, if a guy doesn't really want to be there, good luck. And he's helping Seattle win. And I think that the window for the Jets winning is a little ways off. So, I mean, I really do believe that Joe's the right guy to make these decisions. And if they're there at 2, I don't hate them sticking with Sam. And that would be a move that would tell me the GM's not panicking, and trying to just do the popular thing. You're taking a chance. And I think a lot of that's going to come down to who do you bring in as a head coach, too. Now, we're doing the thing where we're firing Adam Gase, and I don't like doing that.
Of course not.
I mean, that's probably happening, right?
Oh, please. I mean, Chris, honestly, I mean, let's please. I mean, it's stunning that it hasn't happened yet, and that's what leads people to think.
Don't you guys want to lose games?
Well, if they, yeah.
You walked right into that one. You telling me you want to lose games and you can't stand Adam Gase. This is
no. I don't thirst.
Why fire him with a month left and then
because
look how the interim coaches have done this year.
Because if there is credence to the fact that Trevor Lawrence would want to force his way somewhere else because the Jets clearly don't know what they're doing. It all has to be all buttoned up. They got to button this thing up. And I know you love Greg.
Time?
Oh, my gosh.
You got time. You guys, understandably, are a panicky bunch. Like, you're not going anywhere in a hurry. Why are you in such a hurry to get there?
Chris, I know I look youthful on television, and I acted on, but I'm literally, when it comes to the Jets, a 150-year-old man. I really, they have aged me at 3x because the trapdoor always opens up, and this last week 15 is exact proof of it. I mean, and you even didn't want to go there, as you said, but went there with every possible wild-ass scenario, from punters stopping touchdowns and holding penalties that are ridiculous and all that sort of thing that actually led to these events from happening. So,
I mean, it's wild. I love thinking about those butterfly effect issues. Shout out to Ashton Kutcher in that film that I've never seen. But and the Bears, too. Shout out to the Bears who might fall. Ashton Kutcher's a big Bears fan, and they might fall.
By the way, I don't know.
It's all making sense.
I don't know if you saw this or not. I'll bring it up too, and I'll give my producer Don Bowie a heads up to pull up those responses that I got from athletes when I tweeted out after the Jets lost by 37 in Seattle. What must it be like on the plane ride home?
It's bad.
Okay, like what must it be like? And like I said to all the football players out there, who are seeing this, how do you respond to me about what it's like on that plane flight home? One Kyle Long responded on Twitter. He responded with just a photograph of a gummy bear. Chris,
I don't know what he's talking about. but also, I have a PhD in those flights home, man, and a PhD. And do you know how many of those flights home I had from the West Coast? Because we were in the NFC West, we were in St. Louis,
right?
And all our flights were like 4 hours out there because you guys don't think about the jet stream and such. But
yes.
I don't know which direction it goes, but every time you're like, oh, my God, this is such a long flight. It always goes – I felt like it always went longer after the game, after you lost.
Man.
But I'm just telling you, those players, as fans, you get – a lot of those players aren't going to be there next year, And when you're on a bad team, there's so much turnover. You think they care about anything but winning. It's Christmas week. The season's winding down. That is a huge weight off their backs. And I know May, who's been a really good piece for you guys, one of the people who was most visibly upset by the way they blew that Raiders game, to make big plays down the stretch in a game where you get that first win, it's not for nothing for those players. Nobody wants to be that 0-16 team. One year in St. Louis, we were a fake field goal in Detroit away from being that team. I'll never forget Greg Camarillo, I think it was, and that long touchdown to keep the Miami Dolphins from going 0-16. Like, this means something. You don't want to be that team.
Chris, I appreciate the time. Green Light with Chris Long. Great guests, man, and a great pod that you're doing, and that's where all podcasts can be. It's you can acquire it where you listen to all your podcasts. So the latest episode, you had Zach Ertz, Travis Kelce, Ryan Kerrigan, Zach Moss. Good
and
stuff,
DK
man.
Metcalf.
Oh, I love that guy.
Yeah, it's shouting out my boy Giovanni in Philly, who has a rare condition, dealing with some surgeries over the holidays, and
your
fans
co-host
are going to step up. But we got players from all over the league, and check his GoFundMe out. It's at the link on my podcast.
Yeah, there's a GoFundMe for him. He's a 13-year-old Eagles diehard. He hosts a Philly called Eagles Brawl. Let's give it a shout out.
Yeah.
And everybody, so where can people go find Gio's GoFundMe page? Where can they do that?
It is. I put it on my Twitter under Ryan Kerrigan tweet just a couple minutes ago.
Okay.
And you can also find it tomorrow morning when that pod drops in the description there. He is an awesome young media member, man. He's going to be great by the time he's an adult. He's going to be taking all our jobs.
I love it. I will look for him, and I'll have my head on a swivel. Let's put it that way.
Yes, sir. You got to.
Hey, man, happy holidays to you and yours. Let's do that. Would you mind? I'm going to have you. I'll have you back on in January. I want to talk more about the league, and I appreciate. You know, again, as you point out, the butterfly effect, or again, I'm a shell of a man. I should take the positives that the general manager is the right guy, and that Minshew Mania is going to break out on week 16 anyway. So we got that.
These are all things that are certainties. Rich, be positive.
Take care, Chris. You'd be
all
well,
right,
brother.
Take it easy.
The one and only Chris Long.
Funny.
He is so funny.
He doesn't know about the gummies.
Wouldn't know about that.
Wouldn't know about the gummies.
That's amazing.
Hey, you watched all the way to the end. Thanks for that. Watch more right here.